All right, Schlockmeister fans, we're gonna watch something I've never seen before. Demonoid. Let's check it out. All right, our movie starts in a cave where we got some people running around, smashing each other into walls. All right, that woman, they rip her top off, they chain her to the wall, and then they chop her hand off. And then what the hell?
Beautiful city.
That's Jennifer, played by Samantha Egger.
My husband's told me a lot about it.
He probably missed you very much. He's sober.
This is hundreds of years later now from the first opening scene.
If he found it, we can. I know it. And he died. Nobody can take silver out of La Camada.
Poor things. Do you think they don't have any left hands? That's just like our mummy. I've got an idea. We're going to go down into the mine.
The locals are superstitious to go back in now.
We're going to go down into the lowest level. If they see a woman going down there and coming back safely, how can they refuse?
Well, Jennifer and her husband go back into the mine. Her husband's name is Mark. He falls into some sort of sinkhole and ends up here. He's okay, and it appears that they found a lot of goodies down there. Remember that hand we saw at the beginning?
Here's your devil's hand. Pepe, tell him they go back to work. Nothing to be afraid of.
Well, later on that night, as Jennifer tries to sleep, that hand comes out of that thing and begins to finger her. Fingering her leg, that is. Well, the hand sort of disappeared when Mark was grabbing it, but then apparently what happened is the hand possessed Mark, and now he's sabotaging the mine. So what does Mark do? He runs to Vegas. He gets picked up by a woman there, not his wife, and bashed. They're about to cut his hands off, I think, and then he turns the tables on them. I don't even know who these people are. Now remember that Mark is possessed at this point because of that hand. I guess he's got some super strength too. Mark basically tries to sabotage himself. He doesn't want to be possessed anymore. Anyway, that fire killed him, so they buried him as a local priest. But guess what? Mark's not done yet. In fact, he approaches a local police car and is able to chop off his hand. Hand is alive, of course. Mark's corpse is finally at rest, but his hand isn't. So whoever the hand touches immediately becomes possessed by it. So the cop is now possessed, and he's arresting Jennifer.
You're under arrest.
He takes her to a plastic surgeon.
What do you want?
Either you cut my hand off, or I'll kill you.
Why did she see?
So the cop realizes he was possessed. He realizes it was the hand that was to blame, so that's why he went to the plastic surgeon. So he could get his hand sliced off. So the hand is off. it's not dead. It can shoot. And now the doctor apparently is possessed and knocks her out. He was about to do something to her that would probably end her life. When the priest arrives, he scatters. The doctor then runs by some train tracks where a train is coming so we can get rid of the hand. And the hand, of course, scurries off. And it tracks her down. A little later on.
Please, take me.
Now she's trying to offer up herself, kind of like the end of The Exorcist.
Not him, take me.
The priest fights with that hand. Eventually it turns into dust. Have they defeated it? No, the priest is now possessed. The father takes a blowtorch to his hand.
Earth to the sea, ashes to the depths, dust to eternal.
So they're taking the ashes of that hand and dumping it.
No resurrection.
So then at some later date, out of nowhere, a hand comes out of the sink. Pushes her. All right, let's talk about Demonoid. Movie I'd never seen before. I heard about it. This movie must not have been at any of the video stores in my neighborhood back in the day. Otherwise, I would have definitely grabbed it for sure. It came out in 1981. To my knowledge, it never even showed up on cable. So I don't know where this movie just went. Maybe it wasn't even on VHS. I'm not sure. But yeah, obviously it must have been, because I found out about this movie recently because of the Video Archives podcast, which is Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery and Gala Avery. They reviewed this movie in one of their early episodes, and they really enjoyed the hell out of it. In spite of what the critics think of it, they liked it quite a bit. So I was like, you know what? I should probably check that movie down. It's a horror movie, 80s, my kind of thing, and it was kind of decent. It's interesting because there's a killer hand basically in this movie crawling around, and this came out in 1981, the same year, I believe, that The Hand came out with Michael Caine, which also had a crawling hand in it. So two crawling hand movies came out in the same year. Go figure. Anyway, this movie starts out like 300, 400 years ago. I don't know. There's some sort of cave, and they chop off this woman's hand, and then they take the hand and put it in this hand container, this hand thing. And then it's buried in this mine. And then years later, hundreds of years later, modern time, 1980, they're excavating this mine looking for silver or whatever, and they come across this thing, and it comes out. Jennifer's Samantha Egger's husband lets out. He's like in charge of the mine. He lets it out, and the next thing you know, it attacks him, and he gets possessed. It attacks his wife first, actually, and then it attacks him, and he gets possessed. Anybody that touches this hand, the hand like becomes one with them, and then they are possessed. And the only way to stop it is to chop off your left hand. So he gets possessed, and he decides to run off to Las Vegas, and he gets attacked out there, but then he realizes that he's like, there's a little bit of him left, so he realizes he's possessed. He's got to get rid of this hand, so he tries to kill himself. It doesn't work. He's dead, but then they bury him, but he comes back alive. He's burned to a crisp because he burned himself in the process of killing himself. How did he? Oh, yeah, he goes to a police car and uses it to chop off his hand in the door. the hand then, the corpse finally dies, and the hand attacks the cop. The cop becomes possessed. First thing he does is go find Samantha Egger, kidnap her, take the two of them to a plastic surgeon. I don't know why he needed Samantha Egger for this, but whatever. He went to a plastic surgeon. He realized he was possessed. He's like, I demand you chop off my hand. So the plastic surgeon did that, and then the hand came to life, took the cop's gun, and shot this nurse who was in there. By the way, the nurse was the same woman at the very beginning, the same actress at the very beginning who was got her hand chopped off in the cave. But anyway, then that plastic surgeon becomes possessed. Basically, it just kind of hops from person to person to person to person. Eventually, near the end of the movie, there's this priest involved, and Jennifer is trying to help him. The hand is attacking the priest. Jennifer says, come to me, take me, not him. But it didn't work. The priest became possessed, and then the two of them were fighting. And then the priest stabs his own hand, and then he takes a blowtorch to it, and it just dissolved it to a crisp, I guess. The last scene, one of the last scenes in the movie is them taking the ashes and spreading them out at the sea, in the water somewhere. And then the last scene in the movie, it could have been months later, I don't know, but the hand suddenly shows up in Samantha Egger's sink, attacks her, and kills her, and that's how our movie ends. There you go, Demonoid. I'm not even sure where the word demonoid has to do with this. It makes it sound like it's some sort of a space thing. I don't know, but whatever. Anyway, that's Demonoid. Again, I enjoyed it. Some good deaths. I think when on the podcast they were talking about how much how realistic the hand crawling was, and it really was. It was an ugly hand too, like this. It was clearly rotted and green. It was gross, but yeah, the crawling scenes were pretty darn good. So that's it. Don't think there was any nudity in this movie. Samantha Egger has done nude scenes before, but I think she kept her clothes on in this one. But anyway, that's it. It's Demonoid. It's a pretty decent film. Now I ordered this recently. This is Vinegar Syndrome put this out. I think I got this from their Memorial Day sale. Yeah, there you go. Check it out. Leave some comments on what you think about Demonoid. Watch it. Bye.